This is from an article that is called Beyond Recidivism, Exploring Formerly Incarcerated Student Perspectives on the Value of Higher Education in Prison by author Patrick Philippe Conway. This is a case study he does where he interviews previously incarcerated students on their perception of higher education that they received while they were in prison. This is one by a woman named Pamela. And he writes, Pamela described how the cumulative effect of coursework within the program was that it better enabled her to think critically about dynamics within her own life, her family's life, and within her broader communities. She felt encouraged to ask and seek answers to her own questions. Pamela was an incarcerated woman in her early 50s who was self-described as multiracial Native American, and she was in a particular educational program that was unspecified in the study. Do you guys have anything to say about that, or have you noticed that in any of your exchanges with your partners? Have they mentioned anything about how this program specifically has benefited them?
I didn't necessarily get anything from my partner when it came to like specifics on the dynamics within her family's life, etc., like Pamela is stating. But I just think it's interesting that Pamela is a woman in her early 50s, yet her way of thinking changed just by these classes. So I think that also proves that no matter what age, like we were talking about how earlier we were saying how, well, you mentioned actually, Charlotte, that that usually it's harder to learn things later on in our lives. But the fact that Pamela's in her early 50s and she's doing it and it's actually impacting the way that she thinks and it's changing her dynamics with her own, even like her own personal family, like that's hard.
Yeah, it is so hard. And it is also proof that at any age you can learn and you can better yourself.
Exactly.
So people are capable of change always.
Exactly. So that answers our question, can incarcerated students benefit from educational programs? At least that is one way that they can benefit.
This is kind of going back to one of our first quotes, one of our first questions on what the definition of deserving is. But I was kind of thinking as you were speaking, if people are truly capable of change, then does that justify them deserving this education?
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Wait, you're right. Like, if they are capable of changing, doesn't that mean they are also capable of deserving it? Like, deserving that chance to change? Wow, that's crazy. A question. That was such a good link. Like,
that's a question to think about. I know that personally, my exchange partner, she did have something to say about this. She included an entire essay inside of one of her letters.
Oh, beautiful.
And something that I wanted to read from her essay was that she wrote, in order for educational programs to be effective, it is of the essence that they must be accessible, relevant, and adapt to the needs of incarcerated students. This includes offering a variety of courses where education and vocational training are applicable. Moreover, resources and emotional support to help people overcome any fear, struggles that they might have regarding education while incarcerated. Education in prison is shown to be effective in several studies. The people that partake in educational programs have less possibility to relapse in comparison to those that don't do it. Not only education improves job opportunities, but that also contributes to self-esteem and the ability of making well-informed decisions. Well-educated people can fund well-paid jobs and therefore have less incentives to go back to the criminal, addictive thinking and an active lifestyle that they were once a part of. And I think that kind of ties back to the quote that we had mentioned earlier by Sarah Woods, speaking about recidivism rates and the lack of education and how that brings people back into prison.
I think the fact that so your exchange partner even mentions that benefit, the fact that she wrote on an essay first off is on literally benefit is, I don't know, I feel like that, not that we're trying to prove a point here.
And also that was unprompted, by the way. I didn't ask her to write that essay. No, I did not ask her to. She was sharing her opinions openly and freely. And she is such a strong and opinionated woman.
Oh, okay. Do you know how old she is?
She is in her late 40s, I believe.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That really puts, like, whenever I hear the ages of people and incarcerated people and, like, the fact that they're doing school while being incarcerated and they end up being on the older side, I don't know, that, like, really broadens my perspective on it because I didn't know. Like, before this class, I had no idea that, like,
I think it's also important to know that not every single person who is incarcerated doesn't know how to read, and not every single person who's incarcerated didn't have educational opportunities in the past. Because my exchange partner, she was a highly educated person before she came to prison, and I think that kind of gives her leverage to help other students within the prison system and to teach them things that they may not be able to fully grasp without somebody who is as well versed in the educational realm.
I think that through this program, I got to see it with my exchange partner. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed the fact that I got to see the evolution of her writing.
Oh,
like,
whoa!
Especially, yeah, I genuinely, like, because in her first letter, it was very, like, how do I explain this? It was very direct, and it was, like, very plain. There wasn't any aspects of where I thought that, like, she was critically thinking about stuff, or, like, you know, that like, especially when introducing herself, it was mainly just like plain, like, I don't know how to explain, like, plain English, like just
or formal,
just flat formal conversation, you know, like nothing really special. But like as we got more letters through, I really got to see like her critical thinking. Like I have a quote here from like when we were talking about public outrage, how it could be a tool and benefit for society, and she wrote that like public outrage can sometimes be a useful tool in getting things moving in a motion of such needed change. You see, when studying history, you can see that over and over again there are situations that need solutions. The only thing that keeps things from change was complacency. It takes a spark sometimes to get people going. So, I mean, that was 2 letters in, by the way. It's not like it wasn't like it took a bunch of letters to get to this point. It was literally in 2 letters, and I was like, wow, like that.
Do you think that she was influenced by your critical thinking as well, and she kind of drew off of that, or do you think that she gained that knowledge from simply being in the class alone?
I think that she had gained that critical insight like from her own experiences. The only reason I'm saying that is because in her first letter she had spoken about how she was like delving into a bunch of topics, including history and including like different aspects of the history of countries and the history of culture. Mm-hmm. So I think that she definitely connected this to like our readings to that subject and like got to think about like the broader aspects of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, she was able to circulate that information and connect it all, which I think is something that takes a little while to learn how to do, but once you've mastered it, it is such an incredible skill to actually have.
Yeah.